Oh, we're live. All right, we're gonna work on that flow. I get looking. Anyways, don't worry about it. Welcome back. Welcome back to Hxro Labs Live, guys. Bitcoin is mooning. It's teleporting. It's rising, and it's lifting all boats. I was just saying to the producer before. Actually, he was just saying to me, but we were saying to each other, God, it feels good. It feels good to just have shit move and then keep moving. You know, not this like, it's been 84 years. That's how it feels. That's how it feels in crypto years. It was a pretty, you know what, all things considered, it was a pretty chill bear market. It was not as bad as 2018 to 2019. Maybe that's because I had done it once before. Maybe that's because the actual relative time was not so bad, you know. Interestingly, the time to high to low was almost identical. You know, it was like 365 days, 364, and then from high to low, 364. So identical down. So I can't say it was like more or less chill. This was actually more violent, certainly more depressing, sad. SBF is in jail though, so that's kind of nice. I don't even know what the narrative was here. It was just like Bitcoin sucks. It's never going back up. It's a joke. This was like a laugh at you, or ignored us. Well, not us. I wasn't even around, but 2014, the laugh at you. This was the fight you, and then now we're about to win. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. I'm sticking to it. And then obviously here, right now, as it were, extraordinarily accelerated. Here's an interesting fun fact. Looking at reload zones, short reload zones, expected retracements, and they exist on the up and they exist on the down. And so, relatively speaking, let's flip over to chart. Shit, sorry guys, I am just sitting here talking about the chart and we're not even looking at it. Strike one for the producer sitting over there shitcoin trading on his 1 minute charts. Just kidding. Maybe he is, I don't know. Anyways, came right up and tagged the 618 before like having our big circa dump. Calling it the circa dump because he still has an open bet saying we'll have a 40% minus in 1 day before new all-time highs. I'd be curious to know if he still feels that way, but I'm also a noob, so give me a sec. I'm going to pull up the YouTube chat here on the left. I was so fired up about what's happening right now with price that I didn't even have it up. What's up? Okay, we got Cook in the house, and Hala says Hala. So welcome to chat, guys. Welcome to the stream. Bitcoin's mooning. So anyways, on a relative basis, how this feels, like this feels bigger than this. And it's probably bigger on like a, notional size, how much capital it's taking to push it to this 618, which would be at this point exactly where it looks like we're headed. So here's something that I misread. Like part of the thing with charts is you can kind of draw them up to, see whatever you want to see. And that's one of the knocks on TA. And when we were down here, I was having a hard time wrapping my head around this daily RSI. And I'm, take it with a grain of salt. Like I'm not a big RSI guy. Like I'm the guru of RSI. But having seen like this nice trend and then it kind of like topped out and broke down, I thought that might be like a warning sign, end of the year coming in. Maybe we're going to just like mess around at these highs and then puke out, sweep all these lows out and then go into the ETF approval and then move. That was kind of like my base case for a couple of weeks there. That's how it felt. But in retrospect, like this level, this 38K level was just a beach ball underwater moment. And so let's extrapolate that. Let's like extend that back. Where did that level come from? And we'll start on the weekly. I don't really go higher than that. Although if we get a yearly engulfing, you're going to see a lot of yearly charts coming out soon, and that's very possible. And it makes sense in this sense, right? In Jan, is that Jan? Yeah, Jan 2021. So to kick off the year into the end of 2020, Bitcoin was just ripping, and it had a weekly close up there. That ended up being support here, and that was the final sort of bounce before the mega rug of the bear. So this is a pretty key level. Now going back to the daily, we zoom in. That's what we were stuck underneath, and we were making higher lows underneath it. And I've seen this before, and so yeah, like a little part of me is kicking myself because I actually quit futures trading last week. I talked about it for weeks, and it's not, like you can definitely make more with less. You can lose more faster. It's not, it's just leverages up your directional, it leverages up your potential wins, losses. But what it was doing to me, and this is something, again, you got to learn who you are as a trader. What it was doing to me is it was kind of like stressing me out a lot. And I could have traded less size and I could have lowered leverage, but I wasn't. I consistently wasn't. Even though the account was sized such that if it got completely wiped out, I'd still be fine. I think it was probably like 10% of my portfolio. But even if it's like lower leverage, smaller size, I think about it. It steals my focus. And in this case, it was stealing my focus away from like family in the evenings and sleep. Anyways, so through this, I had just decided like I'm kind of sick of it, and I had some sick positions, and then I would screw them up, right? And so, anyways, long story short, I finally actually quit, moved my funds out of the place I was trading futures, and just to take a break, and I moved them into spot positions, and I'm like balls long to the wall spot, feeling sidelined. That's the power of leverage. And it's ironic, and I was a little uncomfortable with it yesterday. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys here. I was not too happy with myself yesterday because I just realized I spent a lot of time focusing on being positioned well and deep for whatever came next. And I ended up basically giving up. It's that meme of the guy who's like tunneling, and then there's like a diamonds on the other side of this like thin wall, and he stops right there. That's how it felt yesterday. So I did spend some time yesterday feeling, reflecting on that, being like, God damn it, are you fucking kidding me? But let's, so that's where I'm at. So I actually did, but here's the thing. I'm in these positions. They're doing great. Life is good. I feel better. I'm sleeping better, and I'm still quite long on this. And you know what? There's no saying it's so easy. Don't get caught up doing this. Don't look at something like this and say oh, I would have been long from right here and I could have just been holding it. It would have been worth this much. That kind of stuff is so cancerous. And, sometimes it's like you're at work or you're doing something else and you look back and you say, oh man, the perfect setup came in. A lot of times you're home, fully ready, prepared at the office, whatever, dialed in, and you still miss it. It's so easy to stare back at charts and be like, oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda, this way. So I'm not doing that. Yesterday I had a moment. I put that feeling to rest. Today feels great. We're going to look at some coins today. We're going to look at rotations. We're going to look at some high time frame stuff. We're going to look at some stocks because the crypto stocks are mooning. And this is a basket. So I actually don't own any Bitcoin. Hi, my name's RT and I am not holding any Bitcoin. I feel like that's like a confession you would make at an AA meeting or something. It's like, I'm an alcoholic. I'm an altcoin holic. I don't hold any Bitcoin, but the way that I sleep at night, as there's a Bitcoin ETF coming, and it's got to be the easiest trade of a long time, is to hey, there's a Bitcoin ETF coming. Hold some Bitcoin. I've got some high beta plays. Mara, Bitcoin miner. Look them up online. Marathon Holdings, they hold a ton of Bitcoin. They're going to do well. MicroStrategy. I don't actually own any of this one. This is the only one. Below here, I don't own these. This one's just not even crypto related, but I wanted to see it. I own from Galaxy down to Coin. So I've got if I was sizing these, Galaxy is like my shit coin. It's a bit smaller. Riot is like my mid cap. It's 4 times the bag size of Galaxy. Hut, I should switch there because that's another smaller one. And then Riot. And then there's this Bitcoin ETF I got a bag of. So I guess I kind of hold some Bitcoin. Ethereum ETF. I want to switch these out. I feel like we talked about that on stream before, but I feel like I'm going to switch those out if there's any kind of rotation coming up or key levels, I'm going to look at that and like rotate those into something like Clear Spark, whatever it is, Clean Spark. This thing like doubled this week, which is too bad, but it'll retrace at some point. So for like, because like zoom out, right? These things, this is a 2-year trade for me. And like this thing, you know, it's probably going to make new highs. There's a double I can grab in here. So I'll figure out when and how I want to grab that. But like this volume, oh my God. So anyways, I think that's what I need to do here is like move my Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. Like they're doing good too. They're going to perform well. But I can grab that kind of exposure directly in crypto, and I do. Anyways, so these are my exposure. This is my Bitcoin exposure, and these are going to do well every time Bitcoin pumps. And they may even do well when Bitcoin's chilling and altcoins are doing well. So yeah, I don't own any Bitcoin, but I'm getting some of this move. And then what I do own, and let's talk about this, because if you guys are sitting in altcoins today, you're feeling that discomfort that comes from Bitcoin making big moves, big Papa Bitcoin making the big Papa moves. And a lot of times on these days, during these weeks, altcoins underperform. In fact, almost all the time. And so then there's this question, like, which horse should I be on? I'm not on the fastest horse on any given day. It's very hard to be the fastest horse every day. You know, I've got some SEI we talked about last stream on Thursday, some SEI, one of my bags. I've got some old, I've been throwing up some chaos levels, trying to see if there's alignment. We do have some alignment here, so I expect that'll hit. Now I picked this up with this puncture zone, so I'm not like at a double yet. My double is a fair bit higher. I think I'm in at like 24 and a half. So I've, you know, doubles a ways off. There's some chaos levels up there. I think it can go to 50 cents. I think all this stuff is just gonna like, let's go look. I'm gonna throw out an old one here. Let's go look at Dash. Oh, Dash. Was this thing on Coinbase back before it Mega Mooned? No. Okay, we gotta go. This is how I'm feeling right now. And we're gonna go examine this. Okay. See what's going on here, guys? Like this was 2017. And I distinctly recall how grossly valued things were relative to where they had been when I started, because I got into crypto. I got exploring crypto in like May 2017 down here. And I didn't buy any Dash. I didn't hold any Dash, but like that shit traded to like $1,600. And it was a big cap. Like it was one of the blue chips. It was like, man, you're running a Dash masternode. You're making like, you know, it costs like $250K to get one, but then you're printing like, you know, masternodes. Yeah, classic. And, you know, I'm not thinking Dash is necessarily this cycle's darling child, but even last cycle, right? And this is probably one of these, right? Where you see this like kind of thing. Like that's what we appear to be seeing with Dash. But the point is I'm trying to make is like these altcoins, a lot of them are going to do something like this, or at least something like this. You know, this was a little bit absurd. Like there was just so little liquidity in the market relative, you know, but there was like a massive mania from retail traders. You know, the public came flying in. It got really ridiculous. I don't know that we'll see that verticalness, you know, next year, whatever. But that kind of uptrend in new hot tech, especially the new shiny toys. So, yeah, when I look at something like SEI, say, you know, I'm not too worried about it being topped here for any period of time. I'm going to get my double. Banged out a double yesterday, my first one in a long time, because I haven't really been doing the nanny nibbles, but that came in right up here actually. So it looks like I marked the top for now at 121. I think it'll go a little higher. This is your high beta Bitcoin. So, you know, that's what we'll talk about today is kind of like, I think we can all agree. I'm guessing most people watching the stream, you know, this is not really a Bitcoin maxi stream. So there's probably not a lot of people here holding a ton of Bitcoin. I think there's probably some like fairly sensible position sizes. Like people are like, oh, I'm 30% Bitcoin. Maybe I moved it up to 70% for this push because that would be very wise. It's outperforming right now. It's going to keep outperforming for a little bit probably. But when the dust settles, anytime it chills out, watching the lower time frames today, let's check this out. We just looked at this before the stream came on. And so Bitcoin starts to make moves today and alts knee jerk, they fall off. But look at HNT now on the 15-minute. Helium ripping after kind of like taking it easy during the Bitcoin move up. Tau, Bitcoin strong move up this morning, last night through the overnight. Now Bitcoin, is it even paused right now? Yeah, not even really. Like Bitcoin has just been moving. So point is, these things are like, I think they're like beach ball underwater kind of vibe. We got ETH ripping on the 15-minute. Solana just, again, little knee-jerk dip down as Bitcoin breaking up. And now these things are ripping. So you're going to see a lot of days where Bitcoin, when it's doing this, like, it's up 4%. And then like a lot of these are actually down. My Tau is down 2%. So it's a 6% swing. But I think looking, zoomed out at some of this stuff, with the catch-up trade, when these things do, there's rotation, I'm right where I want to be. And so I guess the question is, and this is something we should all ask ourselves, is like, what is your comfort level with being left behind for a period of time? And I always think back to, BRC20s are ripping, high beta Bitcoin. High beta Bitcoin plays, like that's probably what this whole stream should just be about. And, and how nimble do I want to be? Like Stargate had kind of a weird thing the other day. It was an unfortunate thing. Somebody acquired enough VSTG to make a proposal through their governance thing on Snapshot. And they posted a phishing link in the snapshot and a bunch of people went to it. I don't know the total losses. When I read about it this morning that it dumped, it happened like right here. And so when I first looked, I was like, oh shit, this is causing it. But then I looked and almost all the altcoins had that kind of setup on the Monday morning. But I don't know, last I checked, it was like 60K, probably a little less, something that could probably be fixed by, Hxro Labs or whatever. I'm sure there could be some follow-up to that. I actually haven't checked, but it was a bit unfortunate and it kind of like put a bit of a damper on the breakout I was looking for. So yeah, that's Target. I think it'll still rip, but it's like, what's its narrative right now, right? Hot ball of money clearly on Bitcoin, BRC 20s, whatever they're called, BRCs. And then things like Stacks. Stacks is just ripped. And I think it's going to go higher, but I still, through this kind of mania, and there's so many different things to buy. I want positions in so many things. So when my position doubled, I did sell half here. It ticked last night. And that's just like, it feels good, especially coming from futures trading where it's like you close a position and you just made some money or you just lost some money. It's very absolute and it's done. You can like make money today. Sitting in a bunch of coins, tokens that are moving, but you're not selling any because, and why should you, right? You're thinking, oh, it's an uptrend. Let your winners run. Very hard to do, harder than it sounds. So you have to have some kind of exit strategy. In some cases, I'm taking sell halves on doubles early, which just hit on Stacks. I was like, I'm not going to move that target up. I'll take that. And then in other cases, I got my HNT. If it hits up here, that'll be a free position. And so I have a feeling, and my hope and plan is during this rip for Tau, for me, it'd be like 600. I was very late to Tau, or was I early? We'll find out. I bought in through this. I faded it at $100, which is too bad because I'd already be free. But point is, I think during this rip, whatever that is into Christmas, from the looks of it, we're gonna have a Santa Claus rally continuation through December. If I just all these positions end up hitting their double level, FET, I don't know, my FET's up a little higher. It's up in this short reload zone. So yeah, that's kind of the goal. If I just banged out doubles through December on most of these. This is like literally my whole portfolio right now. This is how I'm positioned in order from highest to lowest, with the exception of Bitcoin. I don't actually hold any Bitcoin. I just put it on here because I want to watch it. Anyways, yeah, If I could bang out doubles in all these, then I'd have those positions. I could just chill with them. It's so much easier to ride through like whatever comes. And then I'd have all that cash back to like go and buy up new stuff on whatever dips or setups come in. I'm like almost out of cash. So yeah, Bitcoin's teleporting right now. Like these days, this week. And it kind of makes sense from a technical point of view, as we looked earlier. And sorry, I'm ignoring the chat. I'm just on a bit of a roll here mentally, and I just want to get a few thoughts out. But to have this kind of resistance as we did here, and then just to like close and break through, what's your next major point, right? And trends tend to accelerate. And so it was like a lazy kind of like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then, getting a little more aggressive. And then it's like, oh, and then, so this cat's out of the bag kind of thing. And that's typically just, you can see it, you can feel it. The emotion is increasing, the FOMO is increasing. There's a lot of sidelined people still that, and I know that emotion, that feeling of being sidelined. And you're like, well, I didn't buy here because I'm not too sure. And now it's an even worse buy. And I'm sure it's going to pull back. Now it's an even worse buy. I'm sure it's going to pull back. But the narrative changes as you go higher, doesn't it? Right? Already we have Bloomberg coming out like $500,000 Bitcoin. This is the super cycle. And it's like, we're at 42K and they started talking about that. And so by the time it gets up here, the FOMO gets so immense that anyone who is fading through this, I mean, it's incredibly like if you're just a random whoever, like it's probably not too hard to just pass on the stuff. But if you're like, I was around during all of this bull market, I'm a crypto bro, I think Bitcoin's going to go to 500K someday. Like this is going to get really painful and it's going to be really hard. And that's probably where we get the end of this move. Not the end of the bull market, but like the end of this impulse probably comes in on some pretty intense FOMO. And then it like chills, makes everybody regret their life choices, like shakes them all out or whatever. Like however this looks, right now, obviously it feels like we're just going to like make quick work of this whole thing and go to 500K and before the halvening. But fun fact, Bitcoin has never broken its previous all-time high before the halvening. Could it happen this time? It's possible. I don't think so, but New Type says, yes, Say will be the next on, well, the next Solana. Okay, I thought you were going to say the next on Solana. I was like, shit, I didn't know it was built on Solana. I thought it was its own L1. All right, I'm going back. I'm going back to the chat. Wow, zoned out. Fishy says that's from a kid's book. Damn. The problem with the way I do chat is that I just like read things from like 10 minutes ago after my big rant. So it's hard to get context sometimes. That's because BT is a boomer shitcoin that is so bad it makes ETH look fast and cheap. Yep. BRC 20s are funny. I mean, crypto isn't that, just so it wasn't. So yeah. Yep. So New Type wants to know, have you heard the theory these crypto stocks would fail after the ETF is approved? Because after approval, institutions will no longer need crypto stocks to have exposure to BTC. No, I don't agree with that. I think that they will represent like an equivalent of the altcoins of the crypto space. The same way like weed stocks didn't matter. Nobody's looking at fundamentals. Legalizing weed in Canada was going to become a thing. Decriminalizing it in the US was going to become a thing. And into that event, October 2018, all the weed stocks just went bananas for like a year and a half. And your exposure to Bitcoin through the Bitcoin ETF, sure. And yes, maybe it's a little dilutive. I guess I could see that. I could see why someone would say that. Someone saying that right now just strikes me as Kopi sideliner. It's like, no, nobody wants crypto stocks. Here's the thing though, Marathon Digital Holdings, they hold a ton of Bitcoin. They have it on their balance sheet. Bitcoin price rises, they should be marked up. Riot, ton of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. MicroStrategies, ton of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Coinbase, you don't think they hold some Bitcoin? Coinbase Ventures, investing millions of dollars in projects all over the space. You don't think they're going to mark up as a value of their company? Custodying the ETF solutions. Coinbase is the blue chip. Coinbase is the one that I've been barking about since June. And I say barking about, I mean, like I tweeted twice about it. It's not my job to make people buy shit, to share my ideas. But then I read a Bankless thread about coin. and how it's not just, you know, an exchange that takes fees, which it is, and it takes a lot of fees. Those fees are high. Piss me off. They're like, congratulations, you reached tier 3. And I looked and it was like 60 basis points still on like a taker. I was like, are you kidding me? Like 18 basis points on maker. I'm like, okay, I got to trade $15 million in spot volume in a month just to get to the 4th tier, which is like still absurdly high. So they get paid well on their fees. I don't think most public traders, randoms, you know, coming into Coinbase are like, oh man, I'm going to go look for some, you know, better fees. So they'll probably rake on those. But they've got Coinbase Ventures, their custody solution. They're custodying all these ETFs. I think 9 out of 12 are going to be using Coinbase for custody. I'm assuming they collect a fee for that service. So talk about TVL on ETFs up, fees on coins should go up, or revenues rather. So yeah, specifically, you were talking about crypto stocks. Yeah, so like, no. Yep, nope. I think they're going to continue to do well. They are just, you know, like, it's so stupid in crypto. Like, we always like to joke. We'll be like, hey man, look at that thing, it's mooning. And then something that just looks like it moons. All right. There was like a time in 2017 where like any ticker with an X in it just started mooning. Like people, because markets are a representation of human psychology, human behavior. And so when you have immense FOMO going on over in crypto town, which we already kind of do. I wouldn't even say this is immense FOMO. I'd say we're seeing growing FOMO. It should cycle like it always has, like it probably will again. It won't always. Someday we'll run out of speculation and it'll be like, you know, be useful and have products or shit and get off the pot. But for now, there's at least another chunk of years of speculation because things just keep getting better. And so, yeah, like humans will buy the things that look like the shiny thing that's mooning. And that's all these crypto stocks. That's my 2 cents. I don't see any reason to fade what has always been, you know, working. Like, the thing is, these things outperform Bitcoin every single time too. I mean, a perfect trade, low to high, 69x. 69x on Mike Novogratz. 39x. That's 39. Yeah, 3900%. 39x on Hot Riot actually did 100x, I think, last time. More? Yep, 150x. So, I mean, from low to high, these things rip. And I don't need 150x, man. I'll take a 10. And if you're going to get a 10 bagger off of Bitcoin from the lows, that's 150K Bitcoin. I think we'll get there. You know, who cares about what I think for like high time frame? But here's an interesting thought. Let's take a look at this. So this is the Gann square from last cycle. I drew it off this low to this high, and it spit out this whole square. And it actually marked the high pretty well, as you can see, like within 4 or 5% of the top. Now let's go and look at this cycle's Gann square that I've cooked up. It's up there. It finally, like it, you know, when it flipped over this, I was just thinking like on the Gann front, there's really nothing until 41K. We eventually got there. Now we're ripping up through this arc, you know, how we interact with this yet to be seen. There's a chaos level up here. So like keep an eye on things like 52K as maybe an end of a move or, you know, end of this little teleportation. That'd be like a big nasty sweep of that. Who knows? I'm not going to spend the whole move up trying to look for the end of the move. I'm just going to enjoy the ride and try to optimize my positions. But the reason I came to this chart, yeah, right up here. This would be like if we match the other one. So that'd be like Feb 2025, 107K. Interesting. So this one ends up around like the low hundreds, which would kind of, you know, in some ways would be reasonable. I think long-term, mid-term, whatever term, like I think we're going higher than that. I think Bitcoin will eventually trade for a ridiculous sum of money. But, you know, trading up to 100K is going to be a massive mental level, right? The biggest since 10K. I still remember 2017 when we broke through 10K. I think we got rejected and then made it through on the second push. 10K became kind of a magnet for a little bit through the craziness. So 100 and then it's like 107. So it's like, ooh, let's like sweep out anyone who's trying to short 100, blow them up and then come back in. Who knows? So for now, this is the square I've got to work with. But we'll find more targets along the way. Big fat chaos levels off of like entire zones and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch this thing play out. I think we can get rid of cost of production for now. That's more of a retracement tool. I don't know what that is. This is the ETF deadline. I had it on the chart. We just came into sort of the first chaos level, if you wanted to capture this whole range as a thing. But this thing's already been doing some dirt as far as like saying like, hey, look at me, I'm relevant. I mean, right off the drawing of it, it just marked us down through this arc, breakthrough, teleport straight to the horizontal, ride it up, break down, teleport right down to the next angle. You know, almost came in here and like it did ride down this arc a bit. And then as soon as it teleported through, it just boom, right into the next horizontal, flip it, boom, right into the next. Like this thing's ripping. So I'm excited to watch this thing just ride its way through the jungle gym that is a Gann square for the next couple years. It's going to be fun. NTRN, new shiny toy. There we go. Check it out. NTRN. Neutron. Is that what I'm looking at here? New type is in the chat talking about this coin. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's super low liquidity. If that's what I'm looking at, it's like 73K liquidity on a 694 mil FDV. Those metrics are not always correct on deck screeners, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that's interesting. This looks like a good chart. It looks a little early in a life cycle. I'd be curious to know what Neutron's all about. I'm guessing it's something on Cosmos, obviously. 75% BTC. I don't think dollars anymore. Yeah. So Fishy is thinking in terms of BTC. BTC, BRC20 maxis. Yep. Chewbacca's in the house. What's up, dude? I know that was like 10 minutes ago, but it's great to see you. Yeah. So Meatfish confirming the Stargate thing was 100%. You know, it wasn't an issue with Stargate. It was just a snapshot thing, but like that is gonna sour some people and make it feel bearish for a bit. I'd be curious to know. Like, I don't really want to be in altcoins that lose the Monday low. That's kind of what I wanted to say about this, and I might be in one. Like, let's go look. I might have to watch that Monday low. Yeah, like, you know, Solana lost its Monday low today. Was it on divergence? Yeah, it was. So I certainly didn't want to be like too aggressive and set stop losses on things at Monday low. Be like, oh, it's going to underperform that. And not stop out to cash, but like stop out to Bitcoin. Like just, you know, get back into the fast horse. This is a deep Monday low. I certainly don't want to be sitting in Stargate if it's going to lose that. I mean, we're moving right now. So if something's going to underperform that terribly, I just don't have time for it this moment. I would probably circle back. Same with Fetch, you know, Monday low here. It's a little dicey. I already feel like underperforming with Fetch right now, but I'm over it for now. Got Monday low here on Tau. So interestingly, on the ones we've looked at, this came in. So yeah, HNT lost its Monday low. The thing is, HNT is not very liquid. I can't trade this thing too aggressively. Like I built a position through this. I added to the position through this. I think I may have even. There was a crazy wick. Was it this one? I don't know. There was some crazy wick on Coinbase, and it just made me think like, damn, it was right here. I think it was this one. I was like, damn, this thing's gonna rip. It's not really showing up. Oh, maybe it was here. I don't know. There was some crazy buy that came in on Coinbase and then got taken back, but I was like, yo, somebody's pushing, like somebody's here to play. They're gonna push this. It's not liquid enough. You can only do limit orders on Coinbase, and for good reason. The books are pretty thin. So point is, I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to get out and get back in. My position is a little oversized for the liquidity. So we're just going to have to wait until 380 comes in, and then I'll have a free position for the cycle, which, you know, when you look back at like the HNT chart, that's an exciting thought. I mean, to get into a free bag of something with a decent size down here in like the beginning of what should be a pretty decent multi-year cycle. You know, we're definitely front running any kind of cycle theory right now, but in a way it makes sense, right? There's an ETF coming. There's liquidity cycles already starting. I don't have it in front of me, but there's a really cool chart that basically shows how Bitcoin cycles really just match with liquidity cycles. And one of them started recently. It says, fuck your happening narrative. I'm a liquidity cycle and I already started early. So we'll see how that goes. I actually did scoop some DOT. I don't know. DOT's super unexciting, but that's usually when you want to buy stuff that's like probably going to be around. So I did a pump chaser zone on it. And, it's probably going to rip. I mean, I'm almost certain I'll get a double out of it. So picking it up through this and it's like a small position, like a third the size of everything else on here. So it's not too crazy, but it'll probably hit $10. And that'll be like coming up into this high. Whenever that happens, I'll get a little alert that says, you did it. Frax is one I think a lot of people are sleeping on. A lot of people are talking about it, so it's not like everyone's sleeping on it. But it put people to sleep. It had a beautiful, long, drawn-out bottom, and it broke up, and then it broke back down into this range, weekly range it was having, and or it was right here, or whatever. And then it just everyone fell asleep. And they're launching like their own thing, Frax Chain or something, right? I think it's like live now. Anyways, big burst of volume, pull back into pump chaser zones. This is the shit. So I have a weirdly small position in Frax though. Again, super liquid on chain, oddly unliquid on CEXs. Sexes. Not as liquid on those. It's just always strange to me, especially on the perps market, given how deeply liquid it is on certain pools on chain. Anyways, Frax probably going to cook. Weirdly small position in that. Not a very exciting one. I was thinking during this pullback of sizing it up and trying to get that double. I don't know why I did or didn't. But I have a little more flexibility. Yeah, like if we come into chaos levels, I mean, not really from here anymore. Man, that evaporates quickly. Like from just down here to get the double, you had to get here, move it up a little tiny bit, and the distance you need to make the double expands like exponentially. Building positions through bear markets is so powerful for compounding and growth. It's amazing. And I still very much feel like, we're not in a bear market, but like these are lows. Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. As much as we might feel disbelief, as much as we might feel uncomfortable with the vertical nature of Bitcoin right now, like this is not at the lows. Bitcoin is outperforming as fuck in 2023. But there is a lot of very strong coins and tokens and whatever that are very much just chilling in lower bottom ranges. Arguably, you could say Frax just broke out. Right? If we get rid of this reload zone, which it's not in anymore, and you just say like, hey, highs, resistance, support. Oh, broke back down, resistance, and now it's just breaking out. So, probably headed to chaos at some point. Probably headed to these previously lost lows up at 17. And that's, so there's a double in here somewhere. I don't know if I'm like buying it today, but SEI, say. Definitely got some juice cooking here. That's the number one gainer on my list today. Anyways, let's go look at some of your guys' stuff. I am not keeping eyes on Suzu's new exchange token. I missed the Cope rally. I mean, we can go look at it. I'm not trying to like left curve, right curve this thing. I just think these guys are shitty scammers, and I'm not going to be uncomfortable missing out on making gains on this token. I would be extraordinarily uncomfortable losing money on it. So yeah, I missed this Cope rally. I know a lot of guys who were like, oh man, when it comes back down, I'm going to buy it. And then it made new lows, and now it's just trending up. Like nothing about this excites me, even though purely from a technical point of view, it is getting more exciting. But like, not like I'm like some moral high horse about them, but yeah, I'm just like, fuck these guys. Fuck these guys and their exchange. The other thing is like their whole exchange, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the premise to like trade based on like claims against bankrupt entities? Like to me, that's like a flash in the pan thing. I mean, there's a ton of claims going around right now, so it's capitalizing on something that's hot. But talk to me in like 3 to 5 years. Like, how many claims are left? I mean, maybe the same claims are still lingering. Oh God, please no. But I don't know. The whole thing strikes me as a cash grab, and scams pump the hardest, so I'm probably mid-curving it, but I'm not going to buy OX. Secretly goes to buy OX. No, I don't know. I have no plans to, at least at the moment. As I talk about it, I hear myself saying things, and I'm like, damn, I'm probably just, could like get a double in there and get a free position. Track. Yeah, Track's one that I'd heard about over the years. Don't know in what context, but it looks good. It looks good, and this is where the market can be challenging, right? It's hard. It's hard to buy these reload zones. These are some of the best ones to buy. Technically, this thing had its weekly W, first weekly W back here. And so you can let it run and then buy the reload zone after that weekly W. And anyone who did that was rewarded. This is a great example of what I am looking for in the market right now. Some of the stuff on my list obviously is like just new shit like TIA and SEI, and I think those things can rip. But this is the perfect setup. This is the, like, not today. Today it's a different setup, right? Today it's like break this high, retest it, and go, and that's kind of what it's happening right now. So if I was going to trade this, I'd probably want to have a stop loss at like 48 cents. But, because like it's either cat's out of the bag and this thing's about to rip, or like probably just get out while it just cycles back down. As we saw with Frax, right? We just saw that with Frax. These things can do that. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. They form a base, they form a base, they form a base. And that's why like this whole sell half and a double can really cook, because you buy some, you sell half and a double, you buy some more, you sell another half and another double. You keep building that free position. And you get things like DYDX, which we should look at. And you would have had like 4 cars riding right now, right? If you were really aggressive, just focused on this, it's like buy, sell half, buy back in the reload zone, sell half on some chaos, buy back reload zone, sell half on chaos, buy back reload zone, sell half on chaos. Like, we have 4 or 5 cars cooking by the time this thing goes into its like proper parabolic advance. And on that note, it's chilling in the pump change zone right now. I think it looks a bit ready to visit this reload zone, so it could be ready to serve up another car. But anyways, let's go back to track. But this is the perfect setup in crypto. And people, I think most people would do well to just try to do that. Wait for the bear market to play out. Don't worry about trying to get it cheap. Get it when it's confirmed that it's done going down. There's a nice bit of volume. There's a W on the weekly. Why are W's so important? If anyone's new to the stream, well, it's just that this is going down, and then the W signifies a reversal in trend, right? Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And you can spot on the chart by witnessing the letter W that's changed. We had a low, we had a high, we had a higher low, we had a higher high. Right here is where the W confirms. And it's a powerful letter because it signifies the change in trend. And nothing signifies that more strongly than it happening on a weekly chart. So you can see as soon as that happened here, there was a bunch of traders that jumped in. I'd go a step further and say you don't even necessarily have to buy the breakout of the W, although you can. And in a lot of cases that works great. And you can size down if it's too high off the lows or whatever. But it's the reload zone that follows that is such a powerful spot. So if you guys find anywhere it's like, man, this thing did a weekly W, had a little rip, now it's retracing, it's chilling in the reload zone. That's the kind of stuff where you can size up and buy with a fair amount of confidence. And and this wouldn't have been an easy hold, right? From June until October, this thing did nothing. But patience pays, and these guys are getting rewarded right now. Mubi is cool. We just banged out a free position in the fund. So that's awesome. It's up 100% today. So I guess so. Shout out to Andrew over at the fund. He banged this out. I don't know, picked it up somewhere back here. And just hit our double last night. So that's cool. We're riding in the Mubi train. BH says, is this a good time to enter the BRC20 ecosphere? You know what? I'm not the guy to ask that. I think while Bitcoin dominance is rising, there's going to be a ton of heat over there. I own a handful of Bitcoin ordinals sub 10K collections because on like week 2 of ordinal mania back in the spring, I went and like bought a bunch of shit. I minted a bunch of shit. I don't know, they're probably not up right now. We were paying quite a bit for them at the time. I think I aped like half a Bitcoin. That's a lie. It would have been like 2 Bitcoin total. Oh, I aped half a Bitcoin into one of them at an auction. It was stupid. It's definitely worth less now. But the point is, I have some ordinals. I'm holding them. They haven't even moved them out of the wallets I originally received them in. I will wait for years until just being sub 10K makes them extraordinarily special. And if that day ever comes, I'll figure out how to move them out of the wallet and sell them to somebody who wants them. I was never really there for BRC 20s, which is too bad because I saw them cooking. I saw them on Twitter, saw them being mentioned, should have put 2 and 2 together and say, damn, somebody's encoding sats as like token collections or entire sets. But yeah, so I don't know. Ordy's ripping. I mean, the fact that you're asking, the fact that I'm talking about on stream, probably a little late. Not like long term, like yes, late on this one. and this is going to drive people nuts in the bull market because I'll sit here, just like something's like, oh, we're late to the move, and it might go to here. Before it has its inevitable retracement of some kind before maybe going higher. Like, but markets move in zigzags. They, they get overbought, then they get oversold. They get overbought, they get oversold. Which one do you want to buy? I like to buy them as oversold as possible. Not this one, not here, not now, not for me. Even if it rips 2x, that would just be banging out a double in time to see it like, do its pullback. So there are some momentum trades that I'll take. I don't know if BRC20s is one of them right now, but I'm not the guy to ask. I'll be honest. I'm not the guy to ask. That's my honest take on it. But like probably more people who are in the know. And then it's like right now, if you're a new BRC20 project or you're a new token coming out that's like, we're BRC20, probably going to rip. So if I could get in ground level on some new thing, I'd probably, somebody's like, here, would you like this? I'd be like, yes, I would. Because it's the hot ball of money right now. But the ones that are on leaderboards today and yesterday and the day before, like, I'm not chasing that shit. When reunion stream of Gunny, Rob, and Messi in his banana suit? Probably at 100K Bitcoin. I mean, if ever. If we can ever get the full squad in and a banana suit, it probably wouldn't be before 100K Bitcoin. But I will work on that. Only if you hate your future self and you want the most torturous tax season ever. Yeah, that's the thing too, guys. For BRC20s, like, you have to understand, I was traumatized after 2021 with my tax situation. I paid all of it. I paid probably more tax than I should have. Like a little over, because when in doubt, spit it out. But I paid a lot of money and I spent a lot of time. It was like an 8-month tax season. I had a ton of anxiety about it. There was a lot of gains there to enjoy, but it was like this fear of if I screw this up and then I get audited and I haven't paid my tax and maybe, God forbid, I've lost the money the next year in a bear market and I can't afford my tax bill. Like, I was just feeling very like scared. I was like, the only thing I can do now is fuck up my taxes. And so I spent a lot of time and a lot of money on accountants fixing that. And so, it's really hard to track NFTs for me in the tax software that I use. And so I'm actually mostly concerned with keeping that clean, which absolutely will hold me back a little bit. The best gains I made in 2021 were like on obscure chains and obscure projects that didn't get tracked properly in that. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I just have to gauge the risk reward, and fucking around on BRC20s and shit is like a nightmare for taxes. Here's the thing though. Here's the strategy. If you want to go off the deep end, play in the muck, whatever you want to call it, and just basically leave a place where something like token tax, coin tracking can properly track. What I would do, like, so for like LPing as well, is I'll set up a wallet that's isolated just for this activity. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to send $5,000 into BRC 20 town. And then I'm going to mess around and I'm not going to track anything I'm doing over there with BRC 20s. But when I'm all said and done, I'm going to bring back whatever I've got. And if it's 10K, then I know I made 5K. Right? So you do like a net in, net out from a unique wallet. That's how you get messy in crypto while still tracking your taxes properly. Is like a net in, net out to a unique isolated wallet. And so like January 1st, you're like, I'm going to put 10K into this, shitty little ecosystem that, no APIs exist or doesn't track. And then at the end of the year, whatever they are, you're just going to sell them all back to cash and pull it back out of that wallet. And you're like, oh, look, there's 6K. I lost $4,000, like net in, net out. So there is a way around the nightmare, but yeah, it's just like another hurdle. It's another hurdle. One that I don't want to jump over right now. Oh, I did finish my Red Bull. That's too bad. I was like, wait, I had a Red Bull. Not concerned about that. Only making dollar bills. Yeah. And that's, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. And, I've heard people, this is not advice, by the way, I'm not a tax advisor, but I've heard people say things like, you just got to be within 80%. If you're 80% in and around what you owe, like that's good enough. It's good faith. And then if you get audited, you dive in, you spend the money then and you figure it out and you owe a little more, you owe a little less. You just want to kind of ballpark it. I'm uncomfortable with that. Some people are not. If you're playing with smaller size, you have a job and a salary, it's like less scary. And of course, if you haven't made a good chunk yet and your focus is like, I don't really care about all the technicalities, I just want to make this money and then I'll focus and worry about that. That's what I did, to be fair. I wasn't so worried about taxes until I made a chunk. So I think it's, not hating. I'm not hating. I'd say get into the greasiest weeds you can find, because that's often where some of the best opportunities lie. But at the end of it all, just make sure you have money to pay your taxes. And then for God's sakes, man, just pay them. Life is not too fun when you're not playing by those rules in particular. At least, I don't know. Some people are super into like, I don't pay my taxes. I'm a libertarian. But like, I just feel like that's stress I don't need in my life. I got kids, I got a family, I'm doing mine for my ordinal sales at the moment. It's way worse than ETH on-chain stuff. Okay, shit. So Meatfish is in here saying, yeah, ordinal sales is just a nightmare. Yeah, I bought a bunch of them. That's cost basis on my tax sheet. I haven't sold any. So it's, it's nothing for now. I'm not going to sell any until they're like screaming to be sold. Like when somebody, like if the classic get into an Uber and he turns around, he's like, hey, did you hear about those ordinal sub 10K collections? I'm like, shit, take me home, sir. I got to go sell them. It's just so hard to find accurate on-chain info. Yep. You really, so here's the thing. And then we're done with taxes. I fucking hate talking about taxes. They're so boring. But the last thing I'll say is like spreadsheets. I started spreadsheeting this year for each of those isolated wallets that I'm doing LPs in or staking, whatever. And it's just like, yeah, net in. Here's how much I've put into the wallet. Here's the date I put it in. Here's the transaction of me putting it in. Here's the day I pulled some out of that wallet back to my main wallet. Here's the date, and then it's just on a spreadsheet. It's a little more work all the time. And then it makes tax season less sucky. It's still going to suck. Oh, somebody's like, okay, producer clarified talking about ordinals track. But we had a good chat about track in the end, didn't we? Maybe there's an ordinal called track and your guys are like, oh man, this guy don't know. But this coin also gave us a good thing to talk about. But all right, let's dive into a few things. Hxro getting an uptick in liquidity. We've got Guac paired with Hxro now. There was an announcement, so nice to see Hxro liquidity basically creeping up on the 1 mil mark, which is really lovely. It's always had a little bit of a struggle with liquidity since the FTX debacle. That's where a lot of the liquidity was parked. A lot of so it's been a struggle since then. So really nice to see the Guac stuff. And what else? I think Bonk. I think there's some Bonk Hxro pair going live as well. Now, here's the thing. When you're on JupeSwap or Jupiter Exchange, It gets routed similar to like cow swap, and you do a transaction, you just see like 100 little trades inside of a thing, or whatever, like 1-inch routing matcha. Like, so I think having these smaller exotic pairs like Hxro paired with Guac, all that stuff, I think that kind of stuff is going to age really well for just like optimizing the Jupiter aggregator experience for traders of things like Hxro. Bonk probably ripping. Yup, missing out on this one. Feeling a little sad. It's crazy how much time we spent trying to get long bonk through here relative to how little bonk I own today. 0. Yeah, I don't really own bonk, which is too bad, because it's still, now the comps are coming up, it's still like it's starting to look undervalued. Ironically, at 650 mil market cap, people are comparing it to SHIB and Doge. They're saying, "Oh, it's still like 2 to 10x to 40x away from Doge's all-time high." So this thing's probably going to rip. I'm totally comfortable with it being the one that got away. But as all things do, it will cycle. It'll cycle. It'll cycle. So call me next time nobody gives a shit about bonk. There will be a time, and I will be there, and I will probably forget to buy it. But that's at least what I'm thinking about waiting for. So yeah, teleportation, big build up under here. Not surprised to see Bitcoin going and ripping. I think we're going to run into some resistance here in the upper 40s. I don't think there's any chance that this year's rally is done before we touch here. It's the path risk though, right? You throw leverage in, you throw some futures in, and then suddenly that happening. Well, it's hard to see there, but that happening before we get up there, and you just manage to lose money in an uptrend, right? So, but as like a holder goes, I'm not too worried about when this top comes in until we at least get into this kind of area. Oops. And then, as usually is the case, things tend to go higher and a little further than you expect. In some ways, they already have. Let's be honest, guys. They're a little bit like, holy shit, we're really ripping this year. But yeah, some levels I'll be watching, and then it's going to be super interesting to see how the market responds to the ETF decision. 90% chance of success, 10% chance of rejection. I still think it would be wicked cool / savage as fuck if BlackRock was rejected and then appealed and then won and it was approved. Wouldn't they want that? If their end game is to like accumulate as much as they can. Now, Circa, we were chatting about this before, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I bet BlackRock didn't get a chance to accumulate," like as if they thought it up on a whim. Like Larry Fink making the comment he made right here. I think by that point, it's safe to say that they were comfortable with their position. I don't think he's coming out like, "Oh shoot, guys, we shouldn't have talked about it yet. We didn't buy enough." Having said that, I don't know. As a conspiracy theorist, I think it would be crazy ironic, and it would definitely be the way you end up with something like this before the next mega bull, is if they like rejected the ETF just for it to be appealed and approved later in the year after the halving. That would be sick. I don't want that to happen, to be honest. I don't think I could enjoy that, but it would be pretty crazy funny. In some ways, it would make sense, technically speaking. Anyways, we're going to see. We're going to see how this all plays out. For now, we're just ripping higher. We're in sort of what appears to be playing out like a vacuum. And I've drawn up a few levels on the chart that I find interesting. Much more apparent on the weekly. So I guess the question is like rotation game. For now, I think even if there is a lot of pain in some underperformance during this kind of a gap, I think once this thing chills, and it eventually will, even if it like rips some tits off before, like whatever that looks like whatever happens, this would be super painful. You'll end up with less Bitcoin relative, because the Bitcoin pairs will all start tanking more. But eventually Like just say Bitcoin 2x'd from here. And that whole way up from here in that 2x, alts stayed flat or went down versus USD somehow, because they were just like, it was just like a puke fest of rushing in, Bitcoin sucking up all the liquidity. Even from these levels, just say they end up lower before. Like, point is, like, altcoins almost certainly will outperform the good ones. There'll be a lot that don't. There may be some that never quite come back. But I am getting that eerie feeling from 2017, and this is a little uncomfortable, and that's why I'm insisting on maintaining that exposure through my stock account of like the Bitcoin miners, Coinbase. Like that's a critical piece of my plan right now, because this, if you guys are around in 2017, this was extraordinarily painful for altcoin holders, and it wasn't until the December 11th top that altcoins but then they went 100x'd, a lot of them. They absolutely exploded. And we'll use Ethereum Bitcoin cross to express just how painful that was. So there was a mania. Where was it? Yeah, like this was like altcoin mania in the spring of 2017. And then you could just extrapolate this to basically the whole altcoin market. Bitcoin was doing what we just saw, was just like, up only pretty much a couple weeks along the way. September, China banned Bitcoin. This was like the Bcash fork FUD, China banned Bitcoin. Don't know what that was, but there was a little bit of FUD throughout, but it was basically up only. And then like throughout that, altcoins just rinsed. And then in particular, starting in September, China banned Bitcoin for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks. It was 12 weeks of watching Bitcoin go up the way it is this week and watching your altcoins go down. It was the most painful thing. And I was new at the time. I didn't really understand the liquidity cycles and all that stuff. I was just sitting there feeling like, I haven't bought now. I'm just going to wait for my altcoins. Oh, I haven't bought now. I'm going to wait for my altcoins. I haven't bought and I kept fading it. I kept not jumping on the Bitcoin train. And I swear to God, I shit you not, I fucking nuked everything into Bitcoin right here. And that was at the high. And thankfully, I jumped right back in like 2 days later. Thankfully. I was like, oh no, I did it at the worst time. Like I was that guy who like sold the pip low on altcoins before they mooned. And then we had a pretty sweet reversal and I just FOMO'd back into them. And then they went like insanity. Wow. That was entirely the wrong timeline, guys. That's so embarrassing. That's 2016. The same thing played out here though. So that makes more sense. This was the summer rally for altcoins. Then they got absolutely rinsed into the December low, and then they 100x'd. Okay, wow, awkward. And then we had the bear market. So this uncomfortable part is right here. Are we here? Is Bitcoin just starting to do this rip on dominance? I mean, it's certainly just broken out on dominance. So like at a glance, it's just going to teleport to here. And I guess the question is like, can you stomach that? Can you stomach your altcoins underperforming for like a month or two here? Like basically into the ETF announcement. I don't see any chance of like mega outperformance by altcoins versus Bitcoin. Pre-ETF. And then the question is like, does the rotation happen right away or is there some follow on from that? It's so hard to tell. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, have conviction and then have invalidations. If I lose Monday lows, and I still have to review a few things. I'm not even 100% sure that this is my plan yet. But for example, like Monday low on Stargate, yeah, I would be out of Stargate, probably just flip it either into cash or Bitcoin. Fetch, underperforming this week, probably flip it into cash or Bitcoin, certainly if we lose Monday low. Like there's a certain amount of underperformance temporarily that I can handle. And then there's a certain amount of like, oh, I was wrong. And you just get on board, and then of course, equal parts difficult is stomaching buying Bitcoin at like 43 just to get on board that thing, right? So I'm not even convinced that I would stop these coins out into a Bitcoin cross, but like let's look at something like Fetch Corn. And we talked earlier about weekly W's. It's coming into its 382. So this is typically like when that feeling of like, oh man, I'm in the wrong coin would hit. Just printed a weekly W and broke out. This is against Bitcoin, of course. So, something like this would not be unusual to like end up like, and then, the buy is actually somewhere down here. So I have yet to decide. I mean, basically that stock portfolio of all the Bitcoin miners, like that's my exposure to Bitcoin as I see it. And I'm entirely focused on capturing like the higher beta follow-on liquidity cycle that's coming eventually. I think I just wanted to point out that this week is the week where it's very easy to write it off as like, altcoins will come back. Because, I don't even know if this is the best comparison, but it's like we're here, right? It's like they're underperforming, and this is just ETH BTC. It's like, oh, ETH is underperforming, but I'm comfortable because it'll come back. Oh, ETH's underperforming, I'm comfortable. It's okay, it'll come back. All coins will come back. All coins will come back. Like this gets extremely uncomfortable. And we're pretty like we're along the way on something like that. ETH BTC has been trading in a fat range since May 2021, and we're quickly approaching that range low. It seems like inevitable today, and from this point of view and this view of the chart, that we will sweep this low, if not lose that low. It'll start as a sweep, probably. And then, you got to have a lot of faith. You got to have a lot of faith in your bag to confidently hold through whatever comes. If it was to dip down there, basically faith that it will rip higher and rip harder than afterwards. If we just view this purely from like a reload zone point of view, the 786 becomes very compelling. This is like an old idea that I was playing with after we lost this little wedge. It seemed like it would be really cool if we broke up from there, and then we just didn't. We just lost it. It just like dribbled at the bottom unceremoniously. So there's nothing on a weekly time frame about Ethereum that I find compelling right now. We're not quite at an invalidation of an idea that I had recently, so I should just own it. I'm gonna own it because I tweeted something out to the extent of like expecting more upside from Ethereum versus Bitcoin, because this was the announcement that the BlackRock had applied for an Ethereum ETF. And so my thing was kind of like, well, being long on that cross, as long as we're trading above this level, makes sense. Because, Bitcoin ETF will come, but then what, right? Then would be the ETH ETF. As we plummet towards that, I guess I'm not invalidated yet. But looking at the chart the way we did here, it just doesn't look like Bitcoin's done yet. And so unless ETH can pace with it, this low is probably getting taken. So it's tough to say. Weekly is usually the best time frame, and it's easy to say this week because there's a fat red candle, but I think the bear case for an ETH BTC cross is this 786. There's a lot of technical reasons that it looks like that. And if this ETF does go live, and then there's the halvening, and we're into this new cycle, like it's not that hard. Is it that hard to believe? Like this could be the blow off end event, and then it's like recovers, the ETF goes live, and then it's like buy the ETH, and then the talk becomes ETH ETF. I don't know. Or Bitcoin ETF goes live, puke, we've lost that low, and then like the halvening comes and it just keeps taking more and more power, and then the actual ETF goes live, and then get into something like that. I don't know. And then we have our alt season after everyone's puked their bags into Bitcoin. Who knows? These are all the things I'm thinking about. So I don't know if I have an answer for you guys. It's just like, these are the thoughts to have. now, because this is still just one red week on altcoins versus Bitcoin. And if you're already on the edge of your seat, like, I'm in the wrong stuff, like, you're probably going to capitulate before this is over. So know thyself and take measures now. Having a plan. There's going to be some really cool outperformance. I'd like to think that all my bags are the outperformers. Everyone would. TIA, yeah, it's just in an uptrend. Don't overthink it. I don't really care if Bitcoin's up a little more on any given day. DOT, it's in an uptrend. Not too worried if it's under or overperforming on any given day. Talked about helium. It's too illiquid. I'm stuck in it till it hits my limit. Ocean's doing well this week. Ocean is like not underperforming. Let's actually go check the cross. It feels like it's flat in my head. Let's go look at it. Yeah. It's pretty flat. It's not particularly out or underperforming on Bitcoin for the last month. It's actually right where it was a month ago. So that's cool. At the very least, it's keeping pace. And it's still in a higher time frame reload zone, I think. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. So Ocean's one of the stronger. And then, AI, probably a really cool narrative for next year. AI is just going to continue to be explosive in the minds of humans, and it's going to accelerate its growth. So you can see I'm pretty AI heavy here with Tau, FET, Ocean. Some beta on Bitcoin. Just an old gem I like. Stargate, I just really liked it because I feel like layer 0 hype is coming. I see this breakout in volume off of like an absurd low. I thought that was like a very oversold thing to do. Ran out of sellers, big buyers stepping in, parked in the pump chaser zone last week, picked some up. I feel like it'll just leg higher. But if it loses that Monday low, I might change my tune and size down a little bit. I might overtrade it. Stay tuned. Solana already had a lot of fun this year, so it's just chilling for now. But it's just riding up the ZMAs. And then Say and Tia, new shiny toys, L1s. I'd like to have the free positions for the cycle. So I'm working on that. I didn't get Tia the way I should have. I put out something to the effect of like getting long there. It was like up here, and I was like, oh, if I bought this 382, I could get that double like right on the fib extension. That's perfect. I think my average entry is closer to like 650, so that's a shame, but at least I didn't wait. Somewhere through this on the lower time frames, I just like, I'm wrong. I didn't get, I didn't take the entry when it came. And then I kind of like, I got kind of caught up with the idea of like, oh, maybe this was the post-launch hype and then we're going to drip right into this kind of level. Anyways, I FOMO'd back in. If you're going to FOMO early. It's my rule. And so my 100% is a little higher. It's something like 1250 entry 625. I don't know. I think I'll get it. Eventually. It's just about how much pain until it comes. So yeah, I think that's most of what I got today. I did buy some guac. Yeah, big pullback across the board. Meatfish says guac is on his list. I tried to jinx guac for you guys into like coming off. Oh, it's up today. Oh yeah. So I did scoop the pump chaser zone on guac. Nothing crazy. Not for some super size. But I spoke to Circa last week on the stream. It was 30th. I think that was the Thursday. But it was like, this was the day we were talking about it. And I was like, man, I'm just like mid-curving this whole ecosystem. And then like 2 days later or later that day, whenever it was, I noticed, I was like, damn, it's 50% off its highs right now. Like that's a dip. I could buy that. And so I did. And I think I bought it here, like 46-7% off the high. And then it dipped a little lower and I stopped watching. I was like, well. Anyways, it's up, what, 50% today? I am running late, guys. I just noticed it's Tuesday. My meeting always starts at 2. So we better cut. Shit. I got so into it today. I have not looked at DMind yet. I'm holding a bag. Let's just take a quick look at DMind. It's down. Oh shit, 31%. Yeah, this is going to be volatile, guys. This is just going to be volatile. It just is what it is. I guess it's not a pump chaser zone. We just lost that. So, Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I didn't put so much size in that I have to sweat this one. My entry was actually right around here, like 39 cents the other day. So round trip, woohoo. Would have ideally liked to have gotten out at my double. Missed it, came in pretty quick. Dumped, and so I'm just holding. I mean, I don't know. Technically speaking, it's fully just ready to do an uptrend thing. And as Tau does well, this should just be the thing that everyone's like, oh man, miss Tau, go get some D-Mine. So that's the thought. I'm just copy trading Hxro, to be completely honest. So if he hasn't sold, I'm not selling. Okay. Let's get back to the front. Harry Potter, Balsamic, Bitcoin ticker. Yeah, that thing's probably going to rip. Definitely come and watch Check in the Chain. New show here on Hxro Labs where the guys who like to play in that muck and actually check the chain and know a little bit more fundamentally, those guys are going to be on the show. I guess that was last night. Was that last night? Yeah. Anyways, dope. Excellent cross for the channel. And we'll be back on Thursday with special guest Rob Levy coming back. Yes, I had a meeting with him yesterday. I was like, dude, the people have demanded your presence. We miss you. You're like the resident Uber high time frame bull. You don't even sweat. You're just like, yeah, it's just going to go higher. We're just going to buy some stuff. And this is your time to shine, dude. Your thesis, the thesis coming together. So we'll get Robbie on here on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. And from now until then, just have a plan, stick to it, move slow, maybe move fast. Just don't get too emotional. Whatever you do, always play from position of strength. Take care.